Have you ever asked yourself the question, how are novel therapies, medical devices, diagnostics, or digital health solutions developed? Who are the people behind the big successes? Welcome back to a new episode of the Life Science Get Together podcast. My name is Chris. Usually it takes three things to bring new deep tech science to customers and patients. One is time, the second is talent, and the third one is a vast amount of capital. For a new therapy, until it reaches the market, it usually takes more than 10 years of development and almost 2 billion euros. The process of developing a new product starts on the university level, where a lot of scientists work daily on new ideas that have the potential of changing the world. But let's face it, only one out of more than 100 scientific ideas really has a potential to be transferred into a useful product for the market. And this one idea has to be transferred from the university mindset to the company mindset. The difference is science is a creative process. So scientists have to look at a lot of different things. Whereas in the companies, we have to focus on a clear direction, on a clear goal, and move the product from idea over prototyping to a product which can be produced at scale. And this needs a lot of expertise that usually scientists don't find on the university level. In Tyrol and Cambridge, Hermann Hauser supports young scientists with commercial training and capital. How he is doing that, you will hear in today's podcast episode. Welcome, Klara Brandstätter and Jasmin Gungör from IECT Summer School and Hermann Hauser Capital. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
Hello.
Good to have you here. Klara, what brought you into this business?
Thanks at all for first thanks for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm currently working at the IECT Hermann Hauser, and I'm the project lead for the programs at the network over there. And what brought me with business is my background, first of all, in business, as well as I've been working in consultancy and always been heavily related to innovation. And therefore, this was kind of my way coming to the ICT.
And Jasmin, how did you come to the ICT?
I work as investment manager at the ICT. And before joining the ICT, I was working at Don Bosco Finanzierungs GmbH for nearly 5 years. Mm-hmm. And we had a pool of impact investors, and we did loan projects and gave loans through these impact investors to schools and universities in developing countries. And there was one university in Ecuador. They were quite active and they had a good spirit. And they had also some spin-offs and always asked me to find investors for them in Europe.
That's interesting. What brought you to Tyrol at the end?
I'm Tyrolian. I was in Vienna
for
a short time, but I found out that I missed the mountains.
Yeah, well, this is completely understandable. I'm from Styria and I miss them too.
I was in as well for a couple of years, and then I really missed the mountains. So coming back to Tyrol. So basically, ICT is bringing people back to Tyrol.
Yeah.
That's absolutely wonderful. I completely understand that. Maybe we can have a separate talk afterwards. IECT, you mentioned that term. It was years ago that a business partner mentioned that there seems to be a science hub in Tyrol. And this hub is training the next generation of deep tech scientists. And they thought, no way. Why in Tyrol? I mean, the big hubs are in Cambridge or in Oxford or in Boston or in San Francisco. So it took me a couple of years to understand what's really going on there. And last year I had the chance to meet you both. Can you please tell me a little bit more about your initiative?
Yeah, the initiative has actually a lot to do with Hermann Hauser, who is Tyrolean and who studied in Cambridge at the King's College. He did his PhD in physics and founded a company called Acorn Computers, which produced the first personal computer in Britain. And after the IPO of Acorn, Hermann started to invest as business angel. And he was on one hand a very successful computer entrepreneur, and on the other hand also a successful business angel, and later on successful venture capitalist. He founded the VC fund Amadeus Capital Partners, and he spent most of his life in Cambridge. But he had still a family in Tyrol in Austria, and they always asked him, come Hermann, let's do something together. Let's try to build the same here in Austria. Mm-hmm. And Hermann always said, yeah, I would like to do it, but I think it's not possible because you don't have the environment here, you don't have the right ecosystem here. But finally in 2015, he agreed to do a summer school on entrepreneurship and to invite young researchers to Alpbach. And Hermann also said that he wants to do it with his team in Cambridge. There is also a program called Impulse program. This is very similar to our summer school, to our ICT summer school. And Hermann took the team from the Impulse program and set up the same thing in Alpbach. And it worked pretty well. And Hermann decided then to start to do more in Tyrol. He founded together with other partners the ICT Hermann Hauser Management GmbH, and then later on the Hermann Hauser Investment GmbH. And he did more than 20 investments in the last 4 years, mostly in Austrian startups. And this is how we came to existence.
That's great. Can we talk a little bit more about the 3 pillars that you are doing to understand it better? So if I got it right, you have training or education programs for scientists, you have networking events and investments. Can we talk a little bit about the programs? What actually are you doing there?
Of course. And as Jasmin already mentioned, it started 2015, and the last 5 years it heavily involved into these 3 pillars. And program-wise, we do offer now like kind of 3 main programs, which is the summer school, which is kind of a boot camp, like really 1 week or 10 days now in the digital version, where we heavily work with young scientists or like with early stage startups on the basic principles of entrepreneurship, and where we now have involved the Austrian ecosystem as well. So it all started with the Cambridge ecosystem, and now it's merging into the Austrian ecosystem, and we have this pretty dense, intensive week collaborating, having many experts in there, super international. Last year we had like 30 participants from 16 different nationalities, more than 50 experts in this 1 week working together with the summer school, which is basically setting the tone and building the base of the programs. And then we have, since last year, it's called the Innovators Road. It's a 10-month program where we work closely with Austrian spin-offs, where it's mainly about bringing the innovation or the project from prototype to a product with a sustainable business model, which is kind of a sweet spot, because this is a transition area which is quite critical. And within these 10 months, we heavily support them with mentors from Cambridge again, with mentors from Austria, with partners from our ecosystem. So we as a team do work closely together, Jasmin from the investment part, me from the program part. So really it's an intensive 10-month program. And then we have like as a third program, the challenge, which is kind of a half-day format, especially interesting for investors and corporates, because it's half a day where startups which are already on the market, have a team, are actively looking either for strategic partners or investors, present themselves to investors and corporates, do work in breakout sessions on their main challenges. So we build a stage where all the major actors within the ecosystem can discuss in a familiar and sensitive environment, discuss openly, and learn from each other. As this is one of the main intentions from the IECT, to educate, to build, and to establish this entrepreneurial ecosystem here in Austria and the DACH region, and working super close together with our experts from Cambridge in here.
That is very much needed in Austria, and I also think not only in Austria but also in entire Europe. As far as I understand, the universities, they are not teaching business or entrepreneurship skills to scientists. So I think you fill a huge gap. Usually when I see scientists who acquired a little bit of skills, like in the summer school, they face the next hurdle, which basically is to get the first investments in. And this, I think, also is a huge problem we have in Europe. In my opinion, Europe is really underfinanced compared to Asia or the United States. What solutions do you have, Jasmin, to offer to scientists in regards to investments?
Yeah, I mean, to find a solution towards the problem that you mentioned is pretty hard. This is also why Herman is vice chairman of the EIC, of the European Innovation Council, because the fact that the US and China invest much more than Europe is a pretty well-known fact, and I believe that also the European Commission finally wants to do something against it. But I think what we do right, and what is pretty nice about Austria, is that you are able as a spin-off to get funding from AWS, FFG, and I believe it's very important to get these grants and to build something before talking to the first investors, getting the first investors on board, because eventually, if you got some grants, if you got a few €100,000, and if you build a product or a service or anything, this means that you have already a team, means that you have already a company that works, and it means that there is already a substance. And yeah, I would say that a lot of our portfolio companies were very successful in winning grants. And maybe we could do even more in this regard, you know, as a society or as a state, to try to make it even easier for young people or scientists to found their own companies. And we could also think about, of course, what we can do for the investors to make it easier for them. I believe what would be important is to find a way to make the tax situation better, because most of the time, if you gain something, you pay taxes, and if you lose something, you cannot discount this from the taxes that you are paying. So this is a big problem.
I completely agree, but I think this would be worth an entire podcast episode for talking about the tax situation we have in Austria and in Europe. if you understand you right, you offer investment opportunities, or you offer to invest directly into startup companies. And you also mentioned in the intro that there is an exchange with Amadeus Capital. What is Amadeus Capital doing?
Yeah, Amadeus Capital is a VC fund based in Cambridge and London. Herman is one of the founding partners. They are already for 20 years on the market, and they are pretty well known for being a deep tech investor. Of course, this is also one of Herman's companies. This means that we do often speak to each other, also share our deal flow. And I believe this is also a great source of experience for us and for Austria in general, because we do not have that many VC funds. And I believe that the ties here to Amadeus Capital are pretty important for our ecosystem in Austria as well.
I completely agree with that. We in Austria have still a little bit low on VC money anyways. When I talk to scientists, I mean, you solve the problem of educating the scientists, and you have also offer the possibility to invest directly in the companies. And then I have very often in the talks the third pillar of fears. It's, yeah, well, I go to Austria and then I'm stuck. It's a small market. It's 8 million inhabitants, and that's it. But I need access to the world. I need access to Cambridge, to Oxford. I need a hub that brings me to the United States. As far as I understand the IECT Summer School, it's not really restricted to Tyrol. I think you are very well connected. Can you explain a little bit more about your network?
Yes, that's true. We have with the summer school, we build a platform for international entrepreneurs, but as well for international experts. And this is kind of the base for our third pillar, the network. And since 1 year, we are working quite heavy on an online ecosystem. It's called IECT Network. And the goal of the online ecosystem is like to bring all players together, like the entrepreneur, the investor, the corporate, but as well the expert, in order to like innovate, grow, and scale the businesses. And what we realized, especially from summer school, we have this week, super intensive. All the participants are there, all the investors, all the experts, and you talk to each other, you get to know each other. The entrepreneurs have the chance to talk to the experienced serial entrepreneurs and like getting to know the next steps and so on. But then day one after summer school, maybe they know, okay, I'm going to rock this project, I'm going to turn it into a business, but they don't know what are the next steps. And as well, it's quite easy to stay in contact during the summer school, especially if it's offline and at the Werkstätte Wackens in Tirol. Then they are together 24/7. But afterwards, like the startup is going back to Hong Kong and the mentor is going back to Cambridge, or one mentor stays in Austria. So it's quite hard to stay in contact. In terms, there's of course possibility to email, Skype, what so on. But with summer school, we are talking about like early stage entrepreneurs or projects. So maybe you as an investor or you as an expert think, wow, that's interesting, but it's a little bit too early for me, but I'd like to stay in contact and I want to see how they evolve. And these two like challenges, this roadmap, like what are my next steps, and as well, how do I stay connected? These two challenges we are like solving, or this is the aim with the IECT network to solve. And as it wanted to be in Cambridge, they worked on a substantial research of economics, and it's called the triple chasm method. And two of our mentors, which we are really closely tied to, have been working with deep tech companies since lots of years. And they brought all their knowledge, like their theoretical knowledge, as well as their practical knowledge together, wrote several books. And this is kind of the methodological basis of the IECT network. which is now our online platform where we have the startups, for example, from the Innovators Road or from the summer school on it, where you have the experts on it and the mentors and the investors, and where they can see how the project get assessed and who is the founder and so on. So this is kind of the digital version of our network. And of course, this only could happen due to our substantial offline network, where we in strong connect with the investors, as Jasmin already told, like with Amadeus Capital, but as well with the investors from Germany, Austria, Switzerland, Liechtenstein, and so on. And as well, our experts are broadly spanned between the UK and Austria and the countries in between. And this is, of course, a substantial advantage for the entrepreneurs who are in our program, that they have access and that we can connect them to the respective people they need to talk to in order to grow fast and to scale fast. And there are a couple of practical experiences, especially during the last months, for example, with the COVID situation, where some of our startups had some pretty good ideas to pivot and where they could support the current situation, where we could connect them to corporates from our network or to experts from our network, so they could super fast speed up, get the important connections and develop their project further. So our network is like a substantial part of our business and to grow our startups quite fast and successfully.
That's great to hear. You have built a massive ecosystem between Tyrol and Cambridge, as far as I understand it. Let's go a little bit deeper into the summer school. What are the current programs that are running? What exactly are scientists learning there?
It's, as we already mentioned, it's a boot camp, which means in the offline version we have kind of 6 to 7 days, and in the online version it's now a little bit far spread, so it's 9 days basically, where they are heavily involved into all stuff business related. But it's not kind of that we want that the scientists become all entrepreneurs or that all the scientists become future CEOs. It's rather about showing them or giving them a glimpse on what entrepreneurship is about. So you can imagine, it's like super operational speaking. It's like you have keynotes in the morning from serial entrepreneurs like Alex van Sumeren from Amadeus Capital is talking about selling your idea. Then we have Uday, he's talking about like market spaces. So you have really like input in the morning. In the afternoons, you work with mentors in small groups and on your own project. So for the entrepreneurs, they have like this peer-to-peer learning, and then they have the experienced mentor. And then the evenings, we have like inspirational sessions, be it like the official opening where they have like short pitches, be it the state of AI, where we talk about the latest developments of artificial intelligence. Last year we had like Shiraj Khalid from Atomico being there talking about like investments in artificial intelligence or like AI companies. Then we have like another evening program, it's the so-called Idea Meets Business, where corporates have the possibility to talk to our entrepreneurs, get to know their projects and think about how they could possibly use it and leverage the technologies. And I think a main highlight is as well the demo day, where we have some high qualified investors there. And for some of our startups, it's the first pitch, and they have like this familiar and like in this safe environment where these young entrepreneurs have the possibility to pitch in front of highly renowned investors, get feedback, and yeah, have some idea on how to go further. And as you already can see, it's quite an intensive program for the entrepreneurs, but as well it involves lots of possibilities for experts and mentors and investors to come in and get to know each other, be it with the open events in the evening or be it with one-to-one sessions where they support the startups. So we created an environment or a program with Cambridge where there's lots of exchange and learning possible.
Yeah, I like the approach of a safe zone. I think it's very important to get scientists in touch with investors very early, but also offer them a learning situation instead of putting them on the grill quite quickly. So I really like your approach. Jasmin, when we look on the investor side, I think in Europe we have the advantage as an investor that it's an investor-friendly market, lots of opportunity and a lack of money on the market. Why does it help an investor to work together with you? What are you doing better?
Yeah, I believe we are really one of the big promoters of science-based entrepreneurship. And what we try to do is to offer these programs to researchers who want to found university spin-offs. And we know from various studies that, for example, Austria is a very innovative country. Although we do have this high level of innovation, we only found, I don't know, a handful of spin-offs each year. I think in 2017 it was around 20 spin-offs, if I'm not mistaken. And I believe the situation is much better in other countries. It's very excellent in Cambridge, for example, or UK in general. But Austria, Italy, and all the other neighboring countries could actually create a higher GDP, in my view, if they would be able to create more university spin-offs. And what we try to do is get the best spin-offs into this bootcamp, and to also invite investors who want to get on board pretty early. I would say it's only interesting for early stage investors. And we get a great feedback actually from our co-investors and partners, because we are able to find these excellent talents and gather them in Tyrol. I mean, we are not able to do it in the Brandstätter Wattens. We have to do it online this year, but this will make us even stronger, because this is also a very good experience to digitalize this whole program. And to keep it simple and short, we are able to find these rare talents, to gather them, and this is why other investors should work with us.
I completely agree to that. When I did my research for this podcast episode, I came across the term ARM. And I read a little bit on Wikipedia, and it seems like Hermann Hauser basically is one of the people who invented computer chips that are still used today, for example, in the Apple iPhone. Can you verify that? Is it really true?
Yeah, it's true. The company was actually a spin-off from Acorn, ARM microprocessors, and they are still selling microprocessors. Herman always says that there are 24 ARMs in every smartphone.
Oh, really?
But the company was bought a couple of years ago by the Japanese SoftBank.
It was not a bad deal. So basically you have really, I think ARM and Acorn was founded somewhere in the late 70s, early 80s. Mm-hmm. So right. You have, let's say 80s, 90s, 10, 30, 40 years of experience in developing deep tech scientists. I think this is very unique.
Yeah, and I mean, what is so special about ARM is the success that they had with their licensing model. And with the fact that they created a standard, industry standard. Mm-hmm. And this is also what matters for Herman still. He likes to invest in companies where he sees the potential to create a new standard.
So ARM is basically a semiconductor industry. I can also link it to computer, internet. What other industries are you looking at? Are you restricted to this technology, or do you have a variety of industries in the summer school?
we have a variety, I would say. Next to, of course, the semiconductor industry, Herman likes to invest in a quantum computer, quantum technology. He likes to invest in AI. He likes to invest in synthetic biology, especially DNA assembly and DNA synthesis. And he also likes autonomous driving. And we made also recently investment, for example, in a company from Graz called EasyLink. And they work on a charging standard for e-cars, matrix charging. It's a conductive charging solution. And yeah, therefore, I would say we think quite broadly, but there are, of course, some fields where Herman has a greater interest.
What are the success factors you're looking at? I mean, I get a lot of deals on my table. What do you want to see that the deal qualifies for you as an investment?
I think most important is the market and the market share that this company is able to win. Second, the team needs to be experienced, needs to be mature. And third, the technology. I mean, the technology is of course important, but Herman always says that an A team with a C technology wins the battle against a C team with an A technology.
Absolutely, absolutely. And how do you deal with that situation at the summer school? How do you look at the teams? Do you get a good feeling about the capabilities of people?
The application process for the summer school is quite intense in terms of we get to know them first, like via some basic questions, but there it's more about like business idea, what stage they're in. But as it's super early or like early stage, it's a lot about the vision as well and what they want to accomplish and what's their motivation. And we do always have a couple of talks beforehand together with the people from Cambridge, where we identify what is the founder like, what is the team, what's their goal, what's the technology, but what's the motivation of the founder, and do they see a big picture what they want to reach? Because that's quite important, especially at the beginning, because for example, with the summer school, you get input every day from different people. So it's quite easy to, I wouldn't say to get distracted, but to get lots of further ideas. So you need to have a founder or a founding person who is motivated, who is resilient, who is thinking out of the borders and who is able to motivate other people as well. Because what we realized, especially at the beginning, to build up a team in a startup environment, we all know it's quite hard. You need to attract right talent and you have lots of uncertainties, but a lot of potential. And this is what we try to do while summer school as well, to get to know the founder better, to see how he works, how he thinks, because quite often it is that those bright people not only have one project idea, they have a couple of it. So it's quite important to infuse the founder with this entrepreneurial know-how so he can leverage it with a couple of project ideas and startups. And
I absolutely agree with that. When I look at scientists, science is creative. So usually the environment at universities encourages people to look at several projects at the same time. Whereas when I look at the business world, companies need a focus. The people in a company need to focus on one topic and become the best available expert on the market to be successful. Do you also train these personal skills so that the people increase their ability to focus? And the second thing is team ability. I think it's also very crucial to teach people to learn how to work together as a team. What are you doing at the summer school for these two topics?
Team-wise, we always have kind of experienced keynote speakers, of course, and then in the mentorings, we do this like in the individual mentorings. But I think, especially when talking about team, it's a lot about the founder capabilities, and how the founder knows himself in order to build up this team, because it's different to lead a scientific research group rather than building up an entrepreneurial team, which has different backgrounds, and mostly you work with high IQ people, which is a whole different level to lead as well. So, but this is something we just superficially have like tackle at the summer school, and we go or like discuss this in more depth, for example, at the Innovators Road, because there's more time to do this on an individual basis, especially this team topic. But while summer school, for us, it's important that the people know what topics might arise, and that they are aware what impact they as a founder, their founder's personality has on the evolvement of the overall project. So really raising awareness about their own impact, this is one crucial thing they learn about at the summer school.
That's great. So when somebody is interested after listening to this podcast, what are the next possibilities to get in touch with you on the investment side, Jasmin?
On the investment side, you can get in touch with me anytime by email. I would say on the investment side, we are not so heavily involved in, I would say,
Education,
creating programs or doing events, although we have some events for our capital partners, because what we do have is a very small club for co-investors, for smaller business angels who want to invest together with Herman. And if one of the listeners of the podcast wants to invest with us, of course, this would be an opportunity to get in touch with me. I'm, of course, also part of the summer school. And what we will also do on the investment side is we have one FFG program, FFG grant, and we will try to do more for university spin-offs in Austria together with other investors. We want to speed up these processes. We want to talk to all stakeholders, to the investors, to the spin-offs, to the universities, and I believe we will also organize a conference, an international conference in Vienna next year. We wanted to organize it this year already. However, with the Corona situation, it was not possible. But you will definitely hear more from us with respect to the problem and the solution of how to speed up Austrian spin-offs.
That's great. You mentioned an FFG program. What is this program?
We applied for impact innovation, and we have won the grant. Mm-hmm. And we described a project that we want to do, and this covers to talk with all the stakeholders in Austria, also look very deeply into best practice examples from other universities, maybe in UK or US, and bring this knowledge together and try to find a solution to create more spin-offs in Austria. This is basically what this program is all about.
It's a great idea. Klara, what about the summer school? What are the next events that are happening until the end of the summer, where somebody who gets interested in getting in touch with you and also seeing the companies in the summer school?
That's, as Jasmin already said, they can either reach out to Jasmin or to myself. We are closely connected, so we exchange anyway. And for all the entrepreneurs interested, the application is still open until mid of June. And if you know, for example, entrepreneurs who might benefit from this intensive week, please spread the word. And for investors interested, they can either reach out to me or to Jasmin, so we can introduce them to the program or to the relevant program points, as well as to experts, because experts get the chance to talk to these startups and offer their know-how and share their know-how. We have the one-to-one sessions. So any expert or investor interested to get to know the startups is highly welcome to reach out to us. I guess you will spread the communication details maybe within your podcast, otherwise on our website you can find our email addresses. So this is for summer school, and summer school itself is from 17th to 26th of August. And so that's midst of summer inspiration, I'd say. And then in autumn, we do have again the ICT challenge, as I already explained, where this is really dedicated to investors and corporates, where they get to know like more mature teams. And if they're interested in that, they're highly welcome to reach out. And with the Innovators Road, we have like this long-term program where you can really get to know the startups in depth. So if you know, for example, a startup who would like or would need this support as well, let us know. Or as well, it's an interesting deal flow for investors. So basically, this is the next half a year. And if there are for further details, we are looking forward to hearing from all the experts, investors, and entrepreneurs.
Yeah, with your consent, I will post your links to your LinkedIn profiles in the description to this podcast episode, and will spread the word. At the end of this episode, I would like to ask you both one final question. You have seen a lot of startup companies. Also, you gained tremendous experience in seeing these companies develop via various investment steps. And you also had a chance to talk to investors. When you only can give one advice to a young entrepreneur, what would that advice be, Klara?
That's a tough question.
Just one.
One advice.
What's the most important advice?
For me, it's like, know your strength, be passionate about it, be resilient, and you need to love the modus operandi of working as an entrepreneur, because it's taking time and you really need to like this way of working, because then you will have a great time and you will make your way through it and be successful.
Super. And Jasmin?
Yeah, I will cite Arnold Schwarzenegger, don't listen to the naysayers.
Yeah, absolutely right. That's great. Thank you very much, both of you, for your time. And I wish you good luck in Tyrol and Cambridge. And please continue with your work. It's much needed.
Thank you as well for having us, and for all your work as well. And we're looking forward to working with you at summer school.
I'm looking forward too. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening. Please share the podcast and make sure you've subscribed. Have a great day.